In this video, we'll go over 10 ways that you can stand out as a player in your current guild or in a guild that you just joined and be prioritized when it comes to raid spots and loot. And we're starting right now. And we're starting with number 10. Find a guild that you can match with. So before you can even think about putting effort to stand out as a player that deserves his spot and his loot in the raids, you first need to find a guild that matches your philosophy and playstyle. If you're a casual player that just plays WoW from time to time and just wants to have fun in raids, you probably shouldn't join a guild which main goal is to be server first. But it also works the opposite. If you're a hardcore player that wants to compete with other guilds and just wants to clear raids as fast as possible, you should probably avoid joining a casual raiding guild, because the philosophies don't match. And those are just two examples. You also want to consider whether you prefer a guild that has a lot of banter during the raids, a guild that uses loot council versus DKP. Long story short, before you go through the hassle of putting effort in a guild, make sure you have found the correct guild that matches with you. It will save you a lot of time and effort. Number 9. Get world buffs. This one only applies to Classic. I know it's a meme at this point. Raids are so easy in Classic, so why should you need world buffs? World First Khatoon was killed in one attempt after the Chinese guild had wiped on trash previously. There's no content in Classic that warrants having world buffs, right? Well, there's two main reasons that you should go and grab world buffs if you want to stand out from the rest of the people in your raid. Number 1, at the end of the day, if there's one metric that is clear to everyone after each boss is dead, it's the damage meter. And being consistently at the top of that damage meter is the best way to stand out. And number 2 is that since a few months back, Blizzard integrated tracking world buffs into their logs. And Warcraft Logs integrated that feature in their website, and they made it very clear to see who puts in the effort before every raid and who doesn't. So if you want to stand out, make sure that every time someone sees your logs, they see that you have full world buffs. It will go a long way, trust me. Number 8. Improve your DPS/healing. This goes hand in hand with getting world buffs, but as I said earlier, if there's one clear metric that everyone sees during raids, it's the damage meter. But remember, your DPS doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things. If you're a player that ignores mechanics for the sake of increasing your DPS, that's gonna bite you in the ass. If players get mind controlled on Lucifron and you decide to whirlwind and kill half of them, that's also gonna bite you in the ass. But at the same time, if you're consistently way lower than everyone else on the DPS meters, that's also an issue. So try to be as high as you can on the damage meters while also doing mechanics. Number 7. Avoid drama. If there's one thing that will kill your chances of climbing the ladder, it's whether you're the source of drama or if you're often involved with drama. Avoid it at all costs, because when officers and class leaders consider who to promote or who to give loot to, the number one thing in their mind is always, how long is this player going to stick with us? And if you're always into stirring drama in the guild, it means one of two things. You don't want to be in the guild, or you're probably gonna get kicked sooner or later. So avoid that at all costs. Remember that at the end of the day, this is just a video game that people play to find escapism from the real world. And if you create problems for people inside the game, they won't hesitate to boot you. So be mindful of that and stand out as the guy who is always chill rather than the guy that always stirs drama in the guild. Number 6. Find ways to stand out by your own. What I mean by that is that you need to find a way to stay in people's minds for doing something outstanding. For example, there's this Fury Warrior in my guild that one day, as we were fighting Ebonrock, one of the tanks forgot to wear his cloak, and died instantly after getting hit by the Shadow Flame ability. What the Fury Warrior did is that he not only had equipped his cloak before the fight started, but also, as soon as the tank died, he swapped on a shield, Move to the front of the boss and let everyone know that he's ready to taunt and avoided everyone a painful wipe. That's just an example, but you want to do stuff like that if you want to stand out. Sometimes you can plan it in advance, but sometimes it happens organically. If you see the occasion show up, seize it. Everyone will thank you for it. Number 5. Help your guild inside and outside the raids. And what I mean by that is that you want to not be that guy that just consumes the guild perks and privileges and just stands back while everyone else is doing all the work. If a world boss window opens, go scout the boss and let everyone know when it spawns. If your guild is farming fragments for Scarab Lord, go help out as much as you can. If there's need for an off tank and you know you can handle it, step forward and offer your help for the raids. As time goes by, your fellow guildmates will notice that, and you will stand out as the helpful person in the guild, and you will be rewarded for it. Number 4. Avoid being a burden in the raids. We all know that guy in the raid that fucks up over and over again. At best he dies and just takes space in the raid. At worst, he actually wipes the whole raid because of his incompetence. Don't be that guy. That's the last thing you want to be labeled as. Stay focused on the raid and the task at hand for a couple hours, get the job done, and leave. Don't be that guy that's a burden on the raid leader and everyone else in the raid. Number 3. Come prepared and show that you're prepared. Being prepared comes in many forms. From getting world buffs, having consumables, having resistance gear in your bags, knowing what to do on every boss, knowing when to use your cooldowns and when not to. Basically, make sure you're prepared before stepping in the raid. But what I want to emphasize on is that you want to kind of show off that you're prepared, and don't be shy to do it. In my guild, for example, we have a Google sheet that every raider needs to fill with their gear, so that class leaders have an overall idea on who needs the gear the most. And on that sheet, there's also a column for nature resistance for AQ. That column is basically a competition between every raider on who has the most resistance gear. Even though people only need about 140 nature resistance unbuffed, some people on there don't shy out from showing off that they are more than prepared, with some reaching upwards of 250 nature resistance unbuffed, which is nuts. But at the end of the day, the officers are going to see that sheet and they're going to know who put in the most amount of time and effort into collecting that resistance gear. And that's how people stand up and are chosen for the first progression night. So basically, you want to be prepared and show that you're prepared so that people know about it. Number 2. Be a nice player. You help people when they need the last person for their dungeon. Be positive inside and outside the raids. If you're a hunter and you do a lot of tribute runs, offer tribute buffs for people. If you're a rich player and one guy is struggling to bring consumables, help them out. Don't be that guy that is always complaining about everything, never offers any solutions, points fingers towards people, and that overall everyone hates. Create a good persona for yourself. Be a lovable player, and trust me, you will be rewarded for that. And last but not least, number 1. Don't be entitled. It's very easy to think that after applying all this advice, you would feel like the guild owes you something, like you deserve loot or recognition. But I want you to think critically about yourself, and to keep in mind that at the end of the day, this decision is not yours. I was this person once. I was putting all my heart and soul into a project, and I was never getting any recognition or rewards. But now that I think back, I didn't really deserve anything because I was mediocre. And I felt entitled to being rewarded because I thought I was good. Now I'm not saying it's your fault 100% of the time. If your guild is led by a bunch of assholes that only reward their close friends and ignore everyone else, or ignore you in particular because of a stupid reason, you should probably leave that guild. But more often than not, people feel entitled to things they don't deserve. And that can weigh on them. So don't be that person. Learn to think critically about yourself. That's all for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about the tips I gave in the comments. And I hope to see you climb the ladder in your guild and to stand out as an exceptional player. Whatever you do, remember to have fun, take care of yourself and your loved ones. Consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.